For over 90 years, United has been at the forefront of the airline community. In 1926, Walter T. Varney started Varney Airlines, and in 1934, he started Varney Speed Lines. These airlines eventually became United Airlines and Continental Airlines. According to the Complete History of United Airlines in 2019, in 1916, William Boeing founded the Boeing Airplane Company and an aircraft manufacturer. In 1926, the first airmail flight took flight, launching commercial aviation in the United States. Throughout the years, United has accomplished some amazing things, one of them being the only airline to carry a serving United States president. We were also one of the first airline companies to train pilots using flight simulators and to fly transcontinental passenger service. In 2010, Continental and United joined together to form the world's largest airline, according to our website. So today we have Ben Vital, our crisis management consultant, Alexis Sonder, our business unit advisor, Harris Rosman, one of our public affairs officers, and Clay Spears, our legal advisor. Today, Mr. Vital will be covering specifics regarding the issue at hand. He will discuss what happened during the occurrence and how our company ultimately handled the situation. Ms. Sonder will be discussing United's solutions to this issue, as well as recommendations as to how we will be handling this issue long term. Mr. Rosman will be discussing how we are handling marketing and public relations, and finally, Mr. Spears will conclude the situation as a whole and discuss our findings and solutions.
We are currently at the height of intense public outrage because on April 9, 2017, a violent incident occurred between one of our passengers and local airport security officers when the passenger in question had to be removed from our flight. The flight in question was from O'Hare International Airport in Chicago to Louisville, Kentucky. The situation was the flight was overbooked and 4 crew members were needed to be on the flight in order to operate a flight out of Louisville that next morning. And volunteers were initially asked for by the crew following standard procedure, and the crew even upped the compensation amount, the vouchers, to $800 per passenger, as well as hotel accommodations. All attempts to gather volunteers were refused, and so the crew then proceeded with standard and voluntary deboarding procedure. Passengers were selected for this procedure based on a variety of factors, the key factors being connecting flights available, or if this would conflict with the passenger being able to reach their end destination in a timely manner, any sort of delays they would experience, and any sort of additional costs such as seat upgrades, baggage, or hotel accommodations for overnight stay. The passenger in question was Dr. David Dow. Dow refused all attempts to deboard him from the flight, stating that he had patients to see in the morning in Louisville. An article written after the event by Emanuela Grinberg of CNN has quoted the crew, who stated Dow's behavior grew more disruptive and belligerent as attempts proceeded to remove him from the flight, and as such the crew had to call on local airport security officers, again staying within standard procedure. Dow then continued to refuse when officers were on board, and he was eventually dragged out of his seat forcibly by the crew members, and his head during the scuffle was dragged into an armrest of the seat nearby. This is where Dow suffered several major injuries, including a concussion, a broken nose, 2 teeth were knocked out, and he received several other minor facial injuries such as cuts and bruises. This is according to Daniela Muyo of Business Insider. Dow's misfortune did not end here, however, as he was then dragged through the aisle on the floor of the plane all the way out of the door. Dow at some point broke free of security officers and ran back on the plane with blood covering his mouth, shouting, "I have to go home," as was stated in the aforementioned CNN article, where he was then once again removed. This incident was captured by many of our passengers on their cell phones, and videos spread rapidly online, attracting various degrees of hate and outrage, and calls for boycotts and protests. Commentary spread rapidly, misinformation was out there, but more importantly, it seemed like the entire world was upset with us, and we need to rectify this, and we need to make sure this never happens again.
Hello, I am Harrison Rosman, the Public Affairs Officer for United Airlines. I'm here to talk to you today about the research and recommendation 1 for the presentation. For our research, we used several different sources, one of which was a survey of 25 college students. They were asked 2 questions. Had they heard of the incident? And the second question being, what would they have done differently? We also used several articles to gain a better understanding of the public's perception of this incident. We also used an article, Remember That Guy Who Was Knocked Out and Dragged Off His United Flight, by Peter Economy. This is an interview of Dr. Dow by Peter Economy, and he recounts the situation in which he found himself on that plane on that fateful day. Our findings and results. A big result was that we found that the social media made this a very difficult incident to deal with. Not that it was out of the ordinary, but it was the fact that this spread extremely fast. Many of the passengers on that flight had camera phones, and the moment something started happening, they all started recording. And just as soon as they were recording, they were uploading those videos to social media and onto the internet. And this caused the incident to spread like wildfire. This made it extremely difficult for us as a company to get out ahead of this incident. Our findings were most college students had heard of this incident. Blame on whose behalf this falls on varied. Some thought that it was all United's fault. Others thought that it was on the officers' shoulders. And then there was a middle ground. Many people who took the survey also believed that a policy change was needed, as well as many of the articles stating that there was obviously a lacking in policy and that policies did need to change. Mainly the booking policy change, since booking was the main cause of this. Moving on to recommendations, we will be paying Dr. Dow's medical bills, along with giving him free unlimited miles. The implementation of this, we will be obviously covering his medical bills. We will also be contacting his lawyers. That's how we will be communicating through this. We will also be preparing for a possible lawsuit. In implementing this, we are going to reach out to him, contact his lawyers, ask how we can help, and ask what we can do to make this right. The cost and benefit of this recommendation, we have estimated about $45,000 will be the medical costs associated with this incident. Your mild concussion may cost tens of thousands of dollars. By C. Earnhardt gives a really good understanding of what kind of costs are associated with the injuries. We will also be preparing for a lawsuit that will be dealing with punitive damages. We currently do not know how much that lawsuit may be or what Dr. Dow will be pursuing in punitive damages. But what we are sure of is what the medical costs will cost. I'm going to pass it on to recommendation 2 now. Thank you.
Continuing with our recommendations, we are also recommending an immediate cessation of overbooking policies at United Airlines. We want to prevent an incident like this from happening again, and what better way to do that than to anticipate and solve an overbooking problem before it's actually occurred. What we're proposing is to leave a small number of seats open on each flight from here on out. We're hoping this is going to increase our customer satisfaction because our customers won't have to deal with overbooking anymore. These open seats are primarily for crew members if they are needed on a last-minute flight and there are no more seats available. However, that's not always the case. Some of these seats will remain open and can be used to our customers' benefits. Passengers can move to this open seat if they find it more comfortable or pleasurable to them. These open seats can also be offered to standby customers who have missed or are early for their flight. There's obviously a financial cost associated with not maximizing profits and selling each available seat on each flight. We did some research, and the cost was not as bad as we expected. According to Brendan Dorsey from The Points Guy, an average flight's per seat profit was only $14 in 2017. That means 4 seats available on a flight from here on out is only a $56 deficit on average. This extra cost can be made up in other areas to compensate, such as slightly raising baggage handling fees. Customers are happy, there's no overbooking, and there was little to no cost associated with it. Our last recommendation is asking for volunteers before the flight has boarded if overbooking were to happen and there needed to be passengers to give up their seat. We're hoping passengers are more willing to change their flight if they are not already seated on the plane with their luggage on board ready to go. This will require proactive measures in identifying any overbooking or need for deboarding before the gates have opened. We want all of these issues handled outside the plane so there's no chaos. There will be no operational interference on the plane, and that way we can prevent an incident such as this one from happening. Lastly, we're hoping this is going to reduce delays and increase overall efficiency. Delays are not only a waste of time, there's a monetary value associated with the length of the delay. According to the United States Department of Treasury, 1 to 2 hour delays are equivalent to a 200% compensation of the original one-way fare fee for all domestic flights. Eliminating flight delays is both beneficial to the passengers and United Airlines for saving both time and a substantial amount of money. We have carefully selected our 3 recommendations and hope you find them acceptable. Now our legal advisor, Clay, will finish with some concluding thoughts.
First and foremost, I would like to formally apologize on behalf of all of us here at United. We are deeply and truthfully sorry to Dr. Dow and his family, as well as anyone else who is impacted by this incident. Myself and the crisis management team that I have been working on have been working diligently to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again here at United, as well as do everything in our power to make sure that we make this right with Dr. Dow and his family. As a result of this, we have come up with 3 recommendations that my teammates have previously spoken to you about. I will recap them. The first recommendation is fair and just compensation for Dr. Dow and his family. The second recommendation is immediate cessation and overhaul of United's overbooking policy. The third and final recommendation is to make sure that all overbooking situations are handled before the flight is boarded so that nothing can occur on a crowded flight. As cited in a BBC article by Joe Gunter, this isn't a lesson for passengers, this is a lesson for airlines. We truly believe that this is a factual statement, and we understand that as an airline, it is our duty to take this as a lesson and learn from it so that we may come out on the other side a better airline and better serve our customers. Our ultimate goal here at United is ultimate satisfaction for our customers. We understand that in this incident, we fell far short. A Forbes article by Michael Goldstein stated United was the 4th lowest among airlines surveyed in their rate of customers bumped from flights. We hope that this shows that this incident was not a reflection of United as a company, but an outlier that we know can be corrected and will be corrected. Going ahead, we know that we will not be perfect, but we will do everything in our power to do whatever we can to make sure that your flying experience with United is more than you could possibly hope for. We know that everything will not go as hoped sometimes, but we will do whatever we can to make sure that you are happy as a customer. We urge you in the future that whenever you see the United brand, you have faith and you trust that you can spend your hard-earned money with our company and know that you will be rewarded with a good experience. Now I will open up the floor to questions for myself or any of my teammates. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. I am Harrison Rosman, the Public Affairs Officer for United Airlines. Yesterday evening, a series of unfortunate events occurred at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. An altercation occurred between a passenger and United Airlines staff. The passenger was forcibly removed from the aircraft, resulting in injury. I would like to personally apologize for what happened. I'd also like to personally apologize on behalf of the company as well. We will be launching an investigation into the incidents that occurred. We will also be creating a crisis management team, which will be leading this investigation. They will be looking at what happened and ways in which we can improve and prevent this from happening again. For more information, please visit unitedairlines.com/crisis-management. Thank you.